Hello everyone and welcome to another 5K tennis fantasy team and tennis racket giveaway competition. And I say just tennis racket giveaway competition. $250 will be given away if you are not a tennis player that doesn't want a brand new tennis racket of your choice. Or if you are a racket stringer, we will have a reel of Y-Tech strings up for grab. My personal favorite, Hexagon X. Again, if you're a stringer and you're selling racket stringing jobs for, 30, 35, 40, I've even seen $50 in some places, and you can string 16.5 rackets with the reel of 660 feet of string, then, you've got a $450 prize, give or take. Anyway, that's how I think, because we're stringers.
Right.
Anyway, what I'm going to do today is just the rules, as we always do. It's the same rules every time, nothing new, but there's a lot of new people that like to play for each tournament, so we like to create a separate playlist so everybody knows what to do and where to leave your teams and submissions for the $250. So there's two games that we play. One is the biggest one in terms of prize, $250, the tennis racket, reel of strings, or 5K tennis merchandise, by the way. And that is just by selecting or predicting the men's finalists for Wimbledon and the women's finalists for Wimbledon and both winners. Now, you can't do that until the draws come out. And if you want to compete on the fantasy teams, which is another big pot in of itself, and I'll get into that in a moment, wait till the draws come out, because it's going to be impossible to compete if you don't. Okay? By the way, before I tell you the rules for Wimbledon, there are two previous champions from Wimbledon. We didn't do it last year because it was canceled.
Right.
But we did it the year before. And the year before that, our two winners were, number one, Matt Cain. Matt Cain is in London himself. He not only won a fantasy team championship, but he also won the tennis racket giveaway. He won the big purse, and he was given a Wilson Burn 100S, freshly strung, and he sent us a video after that playing with that against the wall during, was it the pandemic then?
No, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, Matt Cain was one of the defending champions, and Casper, a.k.a. Densabille, he is currently the GOAT. On this channel for these competitions. He has won every major outside of the Australian Open, so he is one of the defending champions as well. On the fantasy team competition, there are two winners that will win. The top 2 point earners will win the same prize. On the fantasy teams, we give 2 prizes out. We tie for first place, okay? All right, so first of all, what I'm going to talk about is the easiest one to pick, and you do not have to play both games. If you don't want to waste the time and pick fantasy teams in order to win the biggest spot, you don't have to. But the problem with that is if you don't play fantasy teams and there are more than one or two of you or more than one of you that pick the same finalists, men's and women's, for the Wimbledon finals on the women's and men's side, and you pick the same winners and there's multiple people up for grabs for that tennis racket or $250 or set of strings, then the fantasy team breaks the tie. But you may have it uniquely and on your own, but if multiple people tie it, then if you don't have a fantasy team and others do, you'll lose. Okay? All right. Starting with the fantasy team rules, the same as every tournament. You can go back to our playlist for the French Open or Roland Garros that just completed and see that. By the way, why are we not discussing the women's final today between Krejcikova and Pavlyuchova, Carla? Why?
Because we're going to do it tomorrow with the men's final.
We're going to do it
at the same time. Plus, I know they play doubles, so it'll be good to talk about some doubles.
Yeah, we're going to do a joint show tomorrow with the men's and women's finals. We watched, let's be honest, I think a set and a half of the women's finals. We taught lessons all day. We have another full day tomorrow. So we're going to record. We recorded the women's match.
We'll watch the rest.
We'll watch the men's match and then kind of debate, and then we'll have that live show tomorrow. Anyway, for the fantasy teams, okay, the top 2 will win their choice of the following: $50 each, $50 US, no problem. PayPal, Venmo, any secure way of sending it to you. 5 sets of Y-Tech strings. 5 sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not these exact ones, but similar. Whatever. You can choose these exact ones. I have a bunch. Whatever you want. And I can talk about, I can instruct you on what type of strings you may like for your game, or synthetics, or co-polys, or polyester, whatever. I can talk with you about that as well. Okay, so $50, 5 sets of Y-Tech strings, or up to $50 in 5K tennis merchandise, which we have at Teespring, coffee cup, shirts, sweaters, hoodies, towels, socks,
blankets,
tapestry, blankets, you name
tights,
it, pillows, anyway. All right. So here's what you have to do in order to do that. There will be 2 winners here, no doubt. Two people are winning no matter what, okay? You must choose 9 men and 9 women, right? So you're going to have a total of 18 players, okay? There's going to be 9 men and 9 women. So it's like 2 teams, a women's team and a men's team, but it makes up one whole team, right? Okay? Wait for the draws to come out. Why? For 2 reasons. Number 1, you don't want to pick players where they're on your team and they're going to meet each other in the second round. You don't want to do that because you're going to lose points if you lose one of your players early on. And number 2, the players, there's a criterion to how many players that you pick. So on your men's team and on your women's team, you can only have a maximum of 4 players seated within the top 20. Remember the word seated. If they are ranked in the top 20 in the world and they end up being seated a little bit differently in the tournament, wait till the draws come out, because you choosing players seated within the top 20 only will allow you 1 point per match win, okay? If you choose players in the top 20 on the men's side and the women's side, you can only have a maximum of 4 on each team, okay? You can have as many players that you want seated outside of the top 20, and they are worth 2 points per match win. Mm-hmm. Every player must have a men's and women's qualifier or wild card, your choice, and that one player that you must have is worth 3 points per match win, okay? If there's any questions about that, let me know, okay? Do you have any questions about that?
No.
Okay? I'm gonna run down that again. At the end of the tournament, this past Roland Garros, Casper, aka Dead Seville, and Sister de Queen, the 2 people that won Roland Garros, just that's still ongoing now, and we'll do the last show tomorrow. They've already won it because they separated themselves so far away from everybody else. Mm-hmm. Players seated in the top 20 is 1 point per match win, and you can only have a maximum of 4 of players seated in the top 20 on the men's side and women's side, okay? Players that are seated outside of the top 20 are worth 2 points per match win, and you can load your entire team up with those players. It doesn't matter, they're worth 2 points per match win, but you must have 1 wild card or qualifier, your choice, on the women's side and men's side, and that person is worth 3 points per match win. Now, if you look at some of the GOATs in this, aka Dead Seville, and how Sister the Queen just dominated at Roland Garros, they didn't pick that many 1 point players. Like, they didn't pick Djokovic, Nadal, Tsitsipas, and Zverev, and they didn't flip to the other side and pick Barty, Osaka, Serena. They chose 1 or 2 of those and went heavy on the 2 point players and picked their unseeded player. Okay, am I missing anything?
No.
The most points at the end of Wimbledon will receive the same pot and will go down as a defending champion moving into the next year. Okay? The next one, last one, and easiest one is a pot. And I forgot to throw this in there, by the way. This is the pot that's easy for you to compete in. By the way, the only way that you need to worry about qualifying is by hitting the subscribe button. You can hit thumbs down, I don't like you, thumbs down, whatever. But hit the subscribe button. That's the only entry fee needed for these giveaways. I forgot to mention this racket. This is a 2007 mint condition, freshly strung, new dampener, just grip, 2 bands, balanced, weighted, perfect. This is an original 2007 Babolat Aero Pro Drive, Nadal's first signature racket before his name was on it. Now his signature racket is now purple, and he's playing with it just now at the French Open. But I will give one of these away too. And if you're an eBay seller, this is a hot commodity for you. Okay, that will go into the tennis racket giveaway, not the fantasy team competition. Now, how do we get involved in the biggest pot? hit the subscribe button, number one. Number two, you must predict correctly the women's finalists for Wimbledon, the men's finalists for Wimbledon, and both winners. If you get that right, you will win. And if there's a bunch of you that have guessed the same thing, the fantasy team will break the tie. Ask Matt Kane. He has done it. It definitely can be done relatively, I think, not easily, but it can be done as long as you are methodical on your draws. Okay? Anything that I miss? All submissions for Wimbledon's fantasy team and tennis racket giveaway must be within the videos on these playlists. Dusan Dramakanin and Slovenia has an Excel sheet, and he keeps up the scores mathematically, digitally by a computer, and I do it by hand. Any questions, please let us know in comments. And when this starts, you can put your fantasy team selections on this video or any other video within the playlist. But it must be on here and submitted because the other competitors are going to want to see who they're going toe-to-toe with as the tournament unfolds. Okay? Tomorrow we'll be back for our live show tomorrow and break down the men's final, and then we will go and complete watching the women's final. I think the men's final we'll do live in terms of watching it.
Right.
And then we'll do the show after that.
Right.
But this is the beginning of Wimbledon preparation. Get ready. I hope all of you are. Okay?
Take care. Good luck.
See ya.